When the earthquake struck yesterday, an amateur video documentary group was taking footage of school children in the town of Gabaldon in Nueva Ecija, very near the epicenter. What you're about to see is video of the exact moment when the earthquake struck. The tremor hit just as school children at the Gabaldon Elementary School were being dismissed. There was panic and confusion as children cowered in fear.
Okay, so I was around 8 years old when the 1990 Luzon earthquake happened. I was at home with my younger brother and an older cousin during that time. I remember I was playing with my brother, and then suddenly we felt that we were shaking. It didn't occur to us it was already an earthquake, because we had no idea what earthquakes feel like at that time. So, and then our cousin came rushing at us, and then she was shouting, "Lumilindol, lumilindol." And then she immediately put us under the wooden dining table and told us to stay put until the shaking stops. And then we saw on the news that night that Baguio was badly devastated. It was also after that incident that earthquake drills became a thing in our school. So that's basically it.
July 16, 1996. I believe, as far as I can remember, I was in school that day. And I was eating lugaw, and alone, without any classmates. And so suddenly I felt that my table was shaking. I looked to my right just to check if somebody was shaking the table, but nobody else was there. And then when I looked to my left, I saw the panic in the eyes of the other students eating. And then I realized it was an earthquake. I didn't know what to do because I could hear screaming of students already, panicking and all that. But then I realized that the lights were shaking above my head and all the cabinets that are around me. I could sense that they're about to fall. So I don't know, something told me to just hide under the table, which I did. The earthquake was too strong that I felt so dizzy right away. But I couldn't do anything. I didn't know what to do. So I just stayed there under the table until after maybe a couple of seconds or so, somebody pulled me out to run because I was so scared and everybody else was screaming and running around the campus. So I went when somebody pulled me out and then to go to the field. I was so scared because we didn't know what to do because I don't think there has ever been a drill like what we have now that we were told what to do when there's an earthquake or when there's fire. Nobody really told us what to do, especially I was studying in a public school at that time. So that's it. And but now I'm happier and more confident when if an earthquake happens, I know that my children will know what to do when they're in school because they always tell me that the school holds this yearly earthquake and fire drills and they know what to do and we even practice it at home. So anyhow, I don't want to go back to that day again and I wish it would never happen again because it's one of the scariest things I've ever been to and one of the most vivid memories that I can recall because I can still remember I didn't know what to do and it was so dizzy. Anyway, that's all I can say about it.
So, hello there. My name is Isaac Vargas. I'm a math teacher for the Linden Tea Institute. That's a private school in Alabama, and I also am the coordinator for the senior high school for that school. I also teach physics and chemistry, and at the same time, I'm a photographer. Okay, so I was asked about my experience about the 1990 um, earthquake. I think that happened on July 16, if I can recall correctly. Uh, I just got home from school. I was about, um, I was in grade six. Um, and then the moment I got from school, when I got home, I put my bags down and I went out to play. And just a couple of minutes, and I started feeling the earth shake. And at that time, I was playing beside a very high wall, which happens to be part of our neighbor's house. And all of a sudden, I heard my father screaming, um, telling me to get away from the wall. And so when I stood up, that's when I felt more of the earth shaking, and I was quite in panic because you can really feel the earth tremble. And I remember the wall that I was standing beside at that time started to crumble um, bit by bit, but it didn't really got um, destroyed, but a big chunk of it um, fell off. And I was lucky that I was able to get away from it before it fell down where I was standing. Um, so what we did was immediately we turned on television and we tried to get some news about it. And apparently, um, that same night, we heard that a lot of people died within Luzon, and it was really a very terrible earthquake. And what we found out is that most schools at that time and establishments didn't have any earthquake emergency procedures. So because of that, a lot of people got trapped and got injured, and I think the death toll was quite high. I don't have the numbers, but in a span of 25 years, it was the worst earthquake that happened to Luzon, to the Luzon Island, and we're hoping that we'll be more prepared for the next coming earthquakes, which we cannot prevent. This is part of nature. Those things happen because parts of the earth move um, because of the movements of the tectonic plates. We can't do anything about it, and I guess we just have to keep ourselves really safe by um, putting together emergency procedures. So that's about it. That's what I experienced during the 1990 Luzon earthquake. Thank you.
In order for us to understand this disaster, our group will discuss how earthquakes happen and why does the earth shake when there is an earthquake. An earthquake takes place when two blocks of the earth suddenly slip past one another. The surface where they slip is called the fault place. The location below the Earth's surface where the earthquake starts is called the hypocenter, and the location directly above it on the surface of the Earth is called the epicenter. Sometimes an earthquake has four shocks. These are similar earthquakes that happen in the small place before a larger earthquake takes place. The largest main earthquake is called the main shock. Main shocks are always followed by aftershocks that occur in the same place and can continue for weeks, months, and even years after the main shock. What causes earthquakes and where do they happen? The Earth has four major layers: the inner core, outer core, mantle, and crust. The crust and top of the mantle make up a thin skin on the surface of our planet. But this skin is not all in one piece. It is made up of many pieces covering the surface of the earth. These pieces are called tectonic plates, and the edges of the plates are called plate boundaries. These pieces keep moving around slowly, sliding past one another and bumping into each other. These plate boundaries are made up of many faults, and most earthquakes around the world occur on these faults. Why does the earth shake when there is an earthquake? While the edges of faults are stuck together and the rest of the block is moving, the energy that would normally cause the blocks to slide past one another is being accumulated. When the force of the moving blocks finally overcomes the friction of the jagged edges of the fault and it breaks free, all that stored up energy is released. The seismic waves shake the earth as they move through it, and when the waves reach the earth's surface, they shake the ground and anything on it, like our houses and us. The energy radiates outward from the fault in all directions in the form of seismic waves, like ripples on a pond.
What is the big one? For those of you who are not yet aware of what the big one is, then it is high time to know because it can spell a big difference in our lives. When the ground shakes and the earthquake comes at the least expected time, the question is, are you ready?
According to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, the big one, or an earthquake with a magnitude of no less than 7.2 in the Richter scale, may be experienced in our lifetime. In a study conducted by Japan International Cooperation Agency in cooperation with Metropolitan Manila Development Authority and Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, year 2004, there is a great possibility that the West Valley Fault may move anytime in Metro Manila, which poses threat to people, livelihood, buildings, and infrastructures. This phenomenon is so-called the Big One. There are specific locations that are considered most vulnerable to said earthquake because of their proximity to the so-called West Valley Fault. The West Valley Fault system is an imaginary line, marking the area where the different fault systems are located underground and are actively moving from where a big earthquake may originate. It runs through different cities and towns starting from Angat in Bulacan, Quezon City, Marikina, Pasig, Makati, Pateros, Muntinlupa, Carmona, Cavite. Studies revealed that the last recorded movement of this fault line was way back 1700s. PHIVOLCS even predicted that the movement of the West Valley Fault may bring damage to almost 500,000 houses. 9 bridges will collapse. 400 buildings with 10 stories will fall apart. Failure of 13 kilometers of electrical power cables resulting to nationwide power outage. Breakage of water pipes, damaged roads that will eventually force the suspension of port operations. And the most feared scenario, 100,000 people wounded, and death toll may reach 35,000.
If that's right, and all this disaster events in mind, we must be ready and prepare for it.
The big one is the earthquake that is about to strike from 1 to 100 years from now.
The big one is the earthquake that will happen probably this year.
What is the big one?
Well, the big one is
is the West Valley Fault earthquake to happen in 40 years' time.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Gonna go outside the classroom house or whatever you're inside and talk to Brenda if you find, for example, that you're already. Yes.
And what are you going to do?
For example, I'm in the school.
Copying.
I'm going to the field where the evacuation area is. If I am at home, I'm going somewhere that is safe. Yes.
And what are you going to do?
First things first, when you're in your classroom, when you hear the earthquake alarm, you get your light back and then go under your Aaron, yes, and then go under your desk.
It's the same red and fire.
You wait
Miss Danny.
until the teacher says, we'll make a line. You have to be patient. Then the teacher will lead you to a safe place. So when the earthquake ends, your mom, when the earthquake ends, when you have a phone, you can call your mom or your dad or your guardian.
Not complete. What are the materials inside? I have a wall, bandage, flashlight, food and water enough for 72 hours. More things to yes.
And what are some of the materials you put inside?
Medicine, flashlight, food, and water to save you for 3 days.
Hi everyone! This is my personal life bag. It contains the necessary items for survival in case an earthquake happens. Come, let's check it. My life bag contains water, at least 500 milliliters. Biscuits, in case I get hungry. Candy. Whistle, to attract attention in case of emergency. Flashlight. Make sure it has batteries in it. And also, I have bandages and emergency medicine. Contact list, which contains the number of my parents and grandma in case an emergency happens. So make sure your life bag is always ready for your survival.
How old is the oldest building we have here in San Beda, Alabang?
Our oldest building was constructed in the year 1972. They were the American Queen Hall and the St. Joseph. So these are the buildings used by the PGS. So 2017 minus 1972, how old is that? Will you please do the math? 45, okay, that is our oldest building. So far, those buildings were safe because they are only one-story level.
Sir, can you say that our school buildings can withstand an intensity 7 earthquake?
Yes, this is what I said before. The new buildings designed to withstand 7.5 in magnitude. So, if the earthquake is something 7 and below, yes, our building will be able to withstand. However, our worry is that if the intensity of the magnitude is more than 7.5, I guess that would spell something, the difference. But we pray and hope that this big one would not happen in our country or in any other places in the world.
Sir, what are the preparations done by the school to ensure the safety of the Badon community?
So, the same, we are doing earthquake drill twice a year. You are trained on where to exit, where to go right after the tremor, and then you are also trained to get out immediately after the 1 minute tremor, so as to be able to evacuate the building quickly. So our convergence point is the open there, and we can accommodate all of you there in the open.
Okay, thank you po, sir.
What to do before, during, and after an earthquake. Before, make sure you have these things at home: radio, emergency kit, flashlight, and batteries. Learn first aid. Make an escape plan for the family. During, be calm. Stay away from shelves and fragile objects. Stay away from power lines and buildings. After, check yourself and others for injuries. Turn on your radio. Be careful. Expect aftershocks. Remember, preparedness is the only way we can combat a natural disaster.
Now that we know the extent of damage an earthquake can bring, we must keep in mind that it is very important to be prepared. Take earthquake drills seriously and put in mind the things you learn. Remember, be prepared, beware, and be ready.